Hey everyone, welcome to an episode of the Global Exclusive Podcast.
Classic duo has returned.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I completely lost my train of thought. Thank you for filling in that blank because I completely phased out. We're professionals at this, though. By the way, we've been doing this for over 2 years.
They're so good.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I have returned. Actually, I have returned, but only for a brief moment we get to meet because next week you're gonna be off.
hmm Okay. Leave later today, in fact.
Yeah, sucks. I'm gonna have to do something for next week somehow, or maybe Shadow's gonna step in and save me as he usually does.
We'll see if the wiki rating survives without me.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Like there are gonna be no ratings, no calculations. I think game is just gonna fall apart.
I already pretty much gave them the stuff for this week, so
Ah, wow, handing it to them. Like you
yeah.
should have just done a experiment here and done nothing and just see what happens. Like maybe they start killing each other. Who knows?
We'll
Maybe
see.
Muspel would return. I doubt it though.
Anyway, we've got some units this week.
We do have some units. Would you say it's 3 or 2 units?
Um, 2.5.
2.5. Okay. Good compromise. Good compromise. So
How,
how do you feel
how's your
about
new TV show? 2.5 units.
2.5 units? Yeah. Wow, that takes me back. Haven't watched that show in a while. So how do you feel about starting with Ashe?
Yeah, sure, why not?
So what is Ashe? She's a tank. This surprised me,
Yeah,
honestly.
she's kind of a mix of Immortal Hyunkel from Dragon Quest and Ilmatel, the season 4 killer buffer, like
Yeah.
between her base and shift. And yeah,
So
it's like a pretty decent package overall. She's very bulky magic tank who can break attack and magic very well, do some good mitigations for the party, and then in her shift form, she's got a couple strong killers and some pretty decent fire support.
right, and I love this. I'm just gonna go out and say it because a lot of people know that I love Final Fantasy 6. I've been using Celeste a lot, but the main reason I've been using Celeste is not because I love Final Fantasy 6. It's also because I love units that fill multiple roles and do it well, right? And I feel
Mhm.
like Ashe falls into that category. She does
Yeah,
have,
it's quite a similar setup to Celeste, actually, with
yeah,
the
she's I mean
tank,
she's a
tank
buffer and
base
shift,
form and
right?
buffer shift form. Yeah,
Yeah, uh, and like maybe her maybe her, well, you can say it like both ways, but I was going to say maybe her killers are harder to apply, but really not because they're tied to her LB, and the LB is what you want to use in her shift form. That's the big
well,
buff.
the
And
LB only has the 150 killers. You need to use the cooldowns for the single target 250 ones, and they're
right,
also not in any multicast, so they're a little awkward.
yeah, exactly, and it's only so they're good, but since it's a cooldown, you can only do it on 1 unit. So either find a way to spread it, or you know give it to your
Yeah.
biggest unit, I guess.
Mhm.
So I'm a bit interested in what you said about comparing her a bit to Immortal Hyunkel. Does that mean she also can do some type of damage?
Um, I wasn't really thinking the damage aspect. I mean, technically, her like LB does do damage, but the mod's not great. I was more just thinking in terms of the AoE general plus magic mitigation and the good
Mhm.
attack and magic breaking.
Yeah. No, she's. I mean, as a tank, she's really good. She's gonna protect your party really well.
Yep.
She also has this weird gimmick that all Final Fantasy 12 units have, the Mist Decoy, which is, well, it gives provoke to an ally, which is, I
I
guess, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, passive provoke and stuff is so easy to gear for these days. I
Yeah,
don't
would
see
have
it
been
being
cooler if
too
it was
relevant,
cover.
but that could have been a bit wild.
I
Now that
still
we
feel, have no. I'm still waiting for a Rivera Envy unit. In shift form, she pairs up with her brother, obviously, but like in base, she is Rivera, and she can do that again. Like she can give other units cover. That would be so good. I mean, imagine just how useful that would be.
I mean, it's sort of funny you mentioned pairing up with Oliveira because the existing Oliveira unit can do a funny thing where he kind of maintains permanent 90% mitigation on himself.
Yeah.
And so being given cover might be a little interesting.
Oh, yeah. Also, would be weird having them like both on the field, meaning
Oh
you'd have
yeah,
like two
two of
copies
them.
of Oliveira and two copies of Rivera
Yeah.
on the field. But hey, okay. So Ash, good unit. Should we say something about her TMR and STMR?
I guess so. I mean, I think it's mostly like stuff for her that gives flat spirit and stuff. The materia is another one of these just kind of series clone ones they're doing, similar to Renoa's and Emperor's, where it's just flat stats and Omni killers for units in that series,
Right.
as being one of the magic ones,
But her
Balthier's
STMR
being one
is.
of the attack ones.
Oh, okay. Balthier has the attack one, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say her STMR is the strongest magic accessory we have, right?
I don't know because it doesn't have any HP on it. I can see, but it's a lot of spirit, especially for her.
Yeah, but it's 90 magic.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the highest flat magic accessory, I think.
Right, right.
But obviously, in overall quality, it's not really going to match up to the clash rings. But obviously, you only have two of those, so
Yeah, yeah. I was nice. I felt it was a nice item. I mean, it's really. I guess it's good for her if you're using her as a tank because it has the flat stats as STMRs nowadays have, which is well, I guess one way of enforcing that the unit wants their STMR. I guess.
yeah. I mean
Um,
that's been pretty standard for a while.
yeah, but it's also nice that it's a bit offensive. Like you can use it. You can use
Yeah.
it on your magic damage dealers to get that 10 extra flat magic on an accessory.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's EP and is EP.
Speaking of speaking of magic damage dealers, I find it kind of interesting that Ash has like so much natural magic stuff, but like very little to actually do with that magic stat.
Yeah, right. Like the only thing I can see in her kit, and I mean, you're much better at parsing kits than I am, is really the true ardor cooldown, which is the
Yeah, and
800x burst, and but that's like nothing.
yeah, that's pretty much it. The rest is spirit scaling. So,
Yeah,
and yeah,
it's
it's
so
not
weird.
not very strong.
I
I
was,
guess
you
it's
know,
it's mostly just a flavor thing, I suppose, but it's weird like so much is dedicated towards it with both like the gear and the passives and stuff.
yeah, because I was looking at her kit and I was thinking, okay, you know what? This is maybe like this is why I was interested when compared her to Immortal Yunkel because I was like, hey, maybe she is that type of unit where she can actually like shift and do some magic damage, but she really can't. Like the only
Not
options
really.
aside from the big cooldown I mentioned is that she gets the +3 versions of Firaga and Thundaga, right? And that's like what 72x,
Yeah,
80x? I
yeah,
don't
they're
remember.
they're very underwhelming.
Yeah.
72.
There's like nothing. It's weird. I mean, again, it's weird she gets so much magic. I'm not saying she's a bad unit. She's actually a really
She
good
might
unit.
look a bit like a mage, but is not a mage.
Yeah,
It's
she looks like a
definitely
mage,
just
but isn't one.
a magic tank and a buffer,
Yeah,
but a solid one at
yeah.
that.
I mean, I love this type of unit design.
Yeah,
I welcome it warmly.
mm.
She's probably
I think
gonna take over for Celeste for a while for me.
yeah, I think the one thing that's like slightly awkward with this design is when you shift, you tend to lose a lot of bulk while still, wanting to keep up those magic cover
Yeah,
abilities and
yeah.
stuff. So that can occasionally be a bit awkward. But like,
It's definitely a bit on Celeste as well, like the
mm,
same type of
yeah,
thing where
yeah,
you
I
have to think
definitely
about being
notice it
smart when
more with
shifting,
the
kind of.
I think she probably still has enough of her like the same bulk passives in both forms to for it to not be too bad, and probably a bit better than Celeste on that front. Like not
Yeah,
as
probably.
severe, but yeah, it can still be slightly awkward.
The only thing I'm missing from Ash's kit is something that maybe I'm just spoiled or very used to it, but I feel like many of our tanks today have this one big cooldown, one big defensive cooldown that lets you
Yeah, like
survive a threshold or something,
a
right?
big red button.
Yes, a big red button, but Ash doesn't have one.
Mhm.
So of course Ash is still bulky, as you said, she's very bulky, but she doesn't have the emergency button. She can't pull something out of her
Yeah.
hat.
Mm. Then again, I think that has been kind of true for a lot of these newer ones that can maintain that 70 to 75 for both general and typed, because I guess in that case their red button is basically just guarding.
True, true. I mean, that's one way of putting it for sure. Um, and yeah, you're right in the fact that later tanks that are so bulky are not really getting the red button anymore. Although
Yeah.
I still like the fact that you get a red button because then you
Mm,
can, like, with some luck, maybe you can survive a turn where you didn't get any heals, or some
yeah,
scenario
exactly.
like that. But yeah,
It can
I'm
be
just
fun.
nitpicking.
Anyway, I think that's probably enough on her, other
Yeah,
than
too much
maybe the
actually.
card.
Yeah, is it a good card? I didn't actually, honestly, I
Um,
haven't even looked at it.
it has a lot of spirit on her, especially like flat as well, but it doesn't have any base HP, which annoys me.
Yeah, so I'm still trying to find it because
It's not
I
linked on my page currently.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
so how
But
does it
from
stack
from
up to other tank cards, would you say?
um, I know. I mean, there isn't really like, other than the limited Dragon Quest ones, there isn't really amazing cards in terms of combinations of HP and Spirit, which is
Yeah,
kind of annoying. Like, I want them to release just a magic version of Wall's card that has that 1,000 flat HP, 100 flat Spirit, but
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't seem to be doing that, and it's a bit annoying. But yeah, I mean, the Dragon Quest cards will be better, might compete like about even with some of the old stuff like Phasey and Melia's card that have
Right,
like that 7 to 800 HP and 70 or 80 magic, or
right.
spirit rather.
Okay,
But yeah, it's okay.
it's okay. All right, all right. Now we can move on. I think we spent my fault, but we spent way too much time on Ash. I mean, she's a good unit, but not that much to say about her really.
Not the one that people are more interested in for this banner.
No, no, a lot of people. So here's the thing. I really feel like Final Fantasy 12 is a weird game. For many reasons, it's also a shit game. But it's a weird game specifically because it's very hard to pinpoint who the protagonist of the game is. Have you played Final Fantasy 12?
I have not.
Okay, all right. So then you're not gonna know what I'm saying, but the weird thing in Final Fantasy 12 is so the game kind of kicks off with Vaughn, the little boy, right? Like he's supposed to be the protagonist, or that's the feeling you get.
I've
Um,
I've heard he's a bit of like a nothing character though,
but
so
he's really a nothing character. And then you have Ash, who's like feels a bit like a protagonist, but isn't really one. And then you have a Balthier who's actually saying he is the protagonist several times in the game. Um, and we're getting Balthier. The reason why I brought that up is because I feel that Balthier is the most appreciated character in Final Fantasy 12. It's the character I hear the most buzz
it
about. Like nobody
seems
gives
seems
any flying
popular.
fucks about like Ash.
But yeah, from what just like I've heard secondhand, it sounds like kind of Vaughn is mechanically the protagonist, Ash is the protagonist from like a story writing perspective, and
Right.
Balthier acts the most like a protagonist.
Exactly. So it's weird. Like they took the protagonist role and split parts of it over three characters, and it makes for a really weird experience. Again, I wouldn't recommend anyone to play Final Fantasy 12. I'm sorry, Shadow, you're not here, but fuck your game because it's really not that good. Um, anyway, Balthier is here, and a lot of people are excited for Balthier.
There's
Um,
a bit of hubbub about him.
yes.
Mm,
So in JP, he was a bigger deal than in GL,
mm,
again, due to lack of GL exclusives. Um, but he is still very strong, right?
yeah, yeah. 'Cause like in GP, he was both a step up in power and also one of the few like potentially elementless big bursters that they have available.
Right.
But that's much less special.
It's a bit less special, at least, and I've looked at some whale sheets, seeing that he doesn't quite reach the top in GL when you're looking at whale setups, but he's very very close to the top, and still, like compared to the other units in the top, Balthier performs very well. Like he is
Yeah,
like top three or top four or however you want to look at it,
his
depending on
his
what sheet
raw
you're looking at.
potential is still very good, but
Yeah.
it's awkward to use compared to a lot of others that are at a similar level.
And I want to say he has a very non JP kit. because he actually has
Yeah,
abilities.
has a bunch of skills.
Yeah, he actually
But
does.
I guess, yeah, they actually like went back to looking at flavor from the original game or something.
Yeah, I
But
liked it. And also, I like the fact that many of his abilities are supportive. Like
yeah, he's got item use and whatnot.
yeah, exactly.
I don't
He
think
has item use.
I don't think most of them are very good, but they're
No,
supportive, I guess.
no, but they're supportive, and I think this is funny because we're gonna talk about Fran soon. But one of the things she tells him in the game and in this game is, Balthier, he kind of sees himself as the leading man. He calls himself the leading man several times during the game as well. Fran sees him more of a supportive character, she says. And this is very much reflected in this kit, I feel, because he's actually just using items on your party, which is funny.
Anyway, but the actual,
Wow, wow, that silence was okay. Okay,
I
fine,
was like,
fine.
cool. I mean, I don't know what to say. I haven't played it,
But
but
he's
that's
not a
how the
supportive
reason.
character because he actually does a fuck ton of damage. Right,
Mm-hmm. So basically, the two important parts of his kit are the cooldown abilities and the LBs.
right,
So like in the base form, you've got like what feels very standard. It it's a just a 180 or mod that buffs up to 360 with the cooldown. It is waterlocked, imperils for itself, and is a one-hit finisher. Very standard
yeah,
and not what people are concerned about.
no,
But then in the shift form, you've got this interesting chain ability that has three components all against different races. And if you're not against any of that races, it has a very impressive modifier of 3.
exact. Well, on his own, yes,
Yes, but the point is that even if you're not against those races, all LB modifier boosts will triple dip on it and
right.
be multiplied. So
So
his
that
cooldown
includes his
against 60
cooldown, right?
is 180, Tyva Spirit is 90, and the big thing is
Sylvie.
that Sylvie won't affect him because she doesn't affect damage against certain races.
Oh, does fledgling then?
No, neither of them do.
Ah, okay, shame, shame.
Yeah. But the big one is our NVA Fran buffs it by 200, which then becomes 600. So
Right.
it gets even against any race, gets a modifier of like 873, which is very, very high for a base LB modifier.
And if you're fighting a triple race enemy with that matches, wait, hold on, what is does it have to match? Beasts,
Beast,
humans, and
human, machine.
machinas. Yeah, then you add 360 to that, which I mean that's a high modifier. That's
Yeah,
Angela
I mean,
levels of
I
ridiculous.
mean, you're not going to be getting that, but for each
No,
one race that matches, you still get another 119 on top,
yeah,
which is pretty
which is
nice.
really good. It's very good.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean, the as high as it is, the main thing that you'll see a lot is it'll be divided by 2 because that second party slot that you're using for Fran, she contributes basically nothing else. And
exactly.
the mod boost itself only lasts 1 turn, so she has to use that on your burst turn, which means on that specific turn, she contributes literally nothing else.
Yeah. And I I know, like it's losing a party slot, but there are some positive aspects to losing a party slot as well, especially if you're not a veteran player with a ton of gear,
Yeah,
because this technically gives you two really really strong damage dealers with the gear of one, right?
yeah, it's kind of like a budgeting 2 for 1.
And I
But
mean, it's
yeah,
and not budget as in power output because you're still getting a lot of
yeah,
power. So again, Balthier and Fran
in terms of
are
like cost
doing
effectiveness.
yeah, I mean, Balthier and Fran together are doing about twice as much damage as our top damage dealers today. Like, not quite the most damage in
Mm,
the game, but twice as much damage as our top damage dealers in the game.
yeah,
That's very significant.
I mean, yeah, the best way of putting it is probably like twice Knights of Grandshelt, roughly. Probably a little bit more than that, and not element locked.
I
But
guess it depends on whose sheet you're
yeah,
looking at, but yeah, I mean
yeah. I
they
mean,
are
I'm
strong.
I'm just thinking in terms of modifier and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, yeah,
and
for
it'll
sure.
yeah, it also means that those single target 250% killers like what Ashe has are a little more effective because you're kind of getting them on two slots if you're
Exactly.
thinking
You
about
put
it that way.
Sylvie on the team, and it's very valuable. If you even if you're not spreading it, it's like you're
Mhm.
giving the 250 to two units, two Knights of Grandchild, right?
Yeah,
And
kind of.
that's again really good for non-veterans. And this is so this is a very powerful unit. Going to be powerful for a while. I mean, unless GL breaks meta, which it could.
Mm,
Although I feel GL should
definitely.
calm the fuck down for a while now
Yeah,
because we've been breaking this meta at really
yeah,
fast speeds.
yeah.
Um,
I would call it high tier, but not quite top tier.
yeah, yeah,
Because he needs quite a bit of external buff support, and also the chain frames are quite awkward
yeah.
because
So
it's
what
like
are they? They are like 27 frames. What chaining
yeah,
family is that?
it is triple bolting, but it's
Okay.
got like a really weird, horrible starting delay offset that's quite significant.
Oh, oh, okay.
So
So for
it's
anyone not
probably
chaining
yeah,
with like a emulator with
like a
macros.
specifically timed macro, or it's going to need to be weaved through a bunch of other stuff.
Okay, okay. Well, that's a very good drawback to tell people
Yeah,
about, I think.
quite awkward.
Yeah, it is. It is. So yeah, but really, I guess not much more to say. I did say he has a
Yeah,
lot of
there is.
abilities, but
Most of them aren't really worth using.
I
But
guess
yeah,
like he has
there
a
is.
nice defense break again, 87%. That's
Yeah, that's
decent.
alright.
Attack break
There
as
is
well.
there is one slightly interesting thing with his cooldown abilities that's not really like worth actually worrying about, but as a fun thing because you see each of them have like a 50% chance to use two different abilities that have the exact same effects, like
Right.
same list of effects, and they just have different names. So it's like picking a random quote for him to say in battle or something, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
But the interesting thing is if you use Roka to reduce the cooldown on it, and then like use it a second time and win the coin flip and get like the different quotes the previous one, the two LB mod boosts from each of the 50% chance abilities do actually stack with each other.
Oh wow, that's a very funny and very random interaction actually.
Yeah,
Wow, that's no, but honestly, that's interesting.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
especially for Balthier.
it means bringing Roka for a slot, which is just sort of not really worth for the amount of damage you get out of it. But it's
Yeah,
kind of
I
fun.
mean, it depends if you're bringing Roka for maybe Earth support. Although I guess we have Sylvie now, but
Yeah,
yeah,
if you both are using him Earth and don't own Sylvie, it's a little extra boost you can get out of him. But
but
it,
still random. I mean, you still have to roll
yeah,
the other ability.
you have to win the 50% chance on the second use.
Yeah.
But
So, but that
it's
was
a nice
funny. I did
it's
not
a
think
fun
about that.
quirk.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice when you want to see just how much damage a single unit can do as well. Like
Yeah, I
that's fun
suppose
too.
so. Would be used for maximizing that.
Yeah. So he gets the standard kit overall, right? He gets the
Pretty
warring
much.
spirits, the flat stats, and so on,
Yeah.
just like all our
I
other
guess
units we're used to.
speaking of flat stats, he gets a very large amount of those compared to most preceding units. I mean, we saw a similar amount from Chizuru just recently,
Right.
but he gets like a bit of 3,000 flat attack or a bit over
Mm,
because he has like 1,000 in his kit, 1,000 from TMR, 1,000 from STMR, or no, 500 from TMR and STMR, 500 from card, and 750 from the upgraded Romandan pistol,
right.
old Balthier's TMR. So that becomes a very nice stat stick for him that has 220 base attack, 750 flat attack, and 50% LB damage, which also works nicely with his STMR to make him have 300% with just those two items.
Yeah. Wow.
So he gears very nicely and can potentially break like 10,000 unbuffed attack.
Yeah, I've seen people sharing screenshots of EX1 Balthier already hitting like high 9,000s
Yeah,
of attack,
yeah,
which is
he gets a lot.
quite silly.
Mhm. And that was part of like his power jump in JP as well. This is when they started piling on more flat attack.
Right. No, so he's a very impressive unit. If you love Balthier and if you love Final Fantasy 12, you should get that checked. But if you do, you should definitely like this is a fantastic unit for you. Like this
Yeah,
is
he's pretty good.
because I'm thinking of all the other fans that get shafted of other Final Fantasies when we get like Final Fantasy 4 and there's literally not a good unit.
Oh, there will be soon.
Who? Who's coming from
The
Final
new
Fantasy 4?
the new Cecil is good.
Oh, okay. Now you're spoiling the game for me because I've been trying to avoid these spoilers, but okay, we're getting a
Oh,
new Cecil. Oh, interesting.
you asked who's coming.
Well, no, I didn't specifically. Okay, I did ask actually, so that's on me. That's on me. Okay, but yeah, it's a good unit. It's a good unit. Good sprite as well. I like it. I like it overall. I pulled some tickets on it. I got two NVs. My first two tickets were NVs. First one was
Oh,
off banner.
very
Second one was
fancy.
Ashe. So I'm happy with the outcome
No,
because I'm still saving
yeah,
for Xenogears.
that's a very solid pull.
That's a very solid pull. Yes. Okay, so should we just mention Fran? I guess like
Yeah, I
we already
mean,
said what she's used for.
she technically exists as another unit and not just like a second slot extension.
Oh, did
Right.
we mention that so Fran cannot support Balthier until turn 3.
Oh
So
yeah, that's
you're not going
late.
to be doing any, OTK shenanigans or turn 1 OTK shenanigans
Yeah,
with Balthier and Fran. You have to wait until turn 3.
yeah.
But
So
does she
yeah,
have anything else that's interesting?
not really. She can do like the fire magic with what's it called? True Ardor, same
Yeah,
as Ash, but it's not great. Or she can use her SLB to buff her base LB and do some ice damage with that, but it's like even buffed, it's a 300 mod with bad NVA base attack. That's very,
yeah,
very outdated.
yeah. I mean, her SLB also buffs True Ardor with 400x to all
Yeah,
allies.
yeah. For
So
both cases, you would technically want to use that, but again, 1200 mod on a skill, not that
yeah,
impressive.
not that impressive. No.
You want your skill like actual skill finishes these days need to really to be good, be above 3000.
Yeah, exactly. So it's unfortunately like she is a bit of a dead slot. Like she can't do much. I guess like a decent fire imperil if you need that. She has
Yeah,
a
that's
135
kind of
fire imperil.
the one thing.
But other than that, like yeah,
Yeah,
she
and
is used to buff Balthier on the burst turn.
yeah, and for people, like, confused about the whole divide by 2 thing on a lot of the sheets, that's kind of the main reason why she doesn't offer anything else with the slot, really, whereas someone like Sylvie, even though you don't divide by her being a contributor because she is buffing the entire team and doing a bunch of other useful things to kind of earn
Exactly.
her own slot,
Yeah, exactly. She's
whereas
gonna do stuff that's
yeah,
probably outside just of the buffing,
uh,
which
whereas
makes it that you have to bring her anyway. So there's no
yeah,
dividing needed.
yeah, whereas Fran's entire slot is just more modifier for Balthia.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Which again, like there are some benefits to that setup in not having to share gear, killers,
Yeah,
and so on. But that's why you're seeing divide by 2. So Balthier's damage is going to be double of what you see. We did something very similar for Vivi, right? When Vivi
yeah,
came
yeah.
out
It
and we
was
had
it was very
Steiner.
similar to the Vivian Steiner. I think this one's even slightly more severe than that because Steiner could still do a bit of covering, at least if he could immune the damage
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot. But
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
very
Steiner
similar
could
to
do
that
something.
combo.
True.
Similar to
So
that
we're
combo.
not fully like it's not unheard of at all. um, and it's fun. Like it's a fun interaction. It's a bit different than I know a lot of people are excited. A lot of people in the Discord have been waiting for this and pulling for this. So congrats to
Yeah.
anyone that got him.
Yeah, Balthier is like moderately hyped. The one
Moderately
annoying thing
hyped,
with
yeah.
the one annoying thing with the combo is there doesn't seem to have been any permanent way to get Fran added, so she's effectively a limited piece of equipment. And if you don't weren't here for this event, then you won't be able to get her NVA, and you're shit out of luck if you pull Balthier later.
Yeah, that's super weird because you can't turn Franz into shards. That's the problem.
Or
Um, a-
you can't get more Frans anyway.
well, yeah, you can get more Franz anyway, but even if you had the old Fran, you can't turn her into shards. You have to use the shards that are given in this event.
Mm. But then again, if you weren't if you weren't here for this event, then you would only have one old Fran, so if you sharded her, you'd no longer have a base copy.
Yeah.
So it's kind
And
of
the
weird either
interesting
way.
part about this is that, or the interesting, the scary part about this is that Balthier is an absolute shit unit that's dead in the water if you pull him off banner. Like if you're a late player and you pull him on a random banner and you didn't get Fran, he's absolutely useless. Well,
Well,
I mean,
he's not
maybe
he's
I'm
not
mean.
completely useless. He's a 360 water finisher with high attack, which is still like not the worst, but very very much more mediocre if
Oh,
you're not
right, because
using
he
him with
does
the
buff
Fran
his
combo.
Tides of Fate himself, so that does
Yeah,
go
yeah,
up a fair bit. Yeah.
that still becomes 360, which isn't terrible.
No, that's actually really good. I didn't think of that. Okay, so never mind. Actually, Balthier is not dead in the water. He's just not really. And this is interesting because if it's a 360 water LB, then you can still bring him to fights even if you don't want to bring Fran. If water is fine to use.
Yeah, yeah, it's technically. And I think even with his like own boost plus Tyver Spirit boost, if he's matching one race, his his mod on his Shift LB isn't too terrible without Fran. Help be
Right.
what 120 plus 180 plus 90. So yeah, that's still almost 400.
Yeah.
So that's not terrible. And
Good
it
point.
like do yeah, if it's dual race on any two of the three, that's still a solid mod solo. But
Yeah, but
it becomes a lot more niche basically.
yeah, I think the important part here and a tip to listeners is that even if you don't like Balthier, just make sure to get a Fran. Because
Yeah.
if you get Balthier on an off banner at some other point in life, you can use the unit at a very high level if you need to. So, don't sleep on Fran. Make sure you get her.
And if you want super budget options, you can even use Fran to buff original NVA Balthier.
That's a good point. So NVA
Yeah.
Balthier has an LB that has a 50% damage or defense ignore. And
Yeah.
Fran does buff that by 300. So that
Mm.
becomes a 614, right?
And that
614
goes,
X.
goes from 14 to 614, which is probably the biggest like percentage increase that a unit has seen in a long time with buff.
So if you really wanted to, and you put all of like new Balthier's gear on old Balthier, would this ever be enough damage?
It's never going to be anything that's like good at a high tier level of play, partly just because old Balthier's attack is still going to kind of suck. But maybe
Mm,
it'll show up in a Sensar budget clear guide or something.
right, right. Let's see. Let's see if people get creative and start using. I
Yeah.
mean, you're still using Fran for it, but
Yeah,
it might
yeah,
be.
it's still a two slot thing, so
Yeah,
and again, needs a bunch of support because if you thought in like new Balthier didn't buff himself that well, wait till you see old NVAs
yeah, exactly. Wait till you see old
and
MBAs. Oh
old
God.
babysitting.
Yeah.
But it could be something.
Yeah, I mean that's more of a fun thing. Like
Yeah,
there are better options if you just need to bring NVAs and you have budgets. Like you can bring stuff like Titus and Squall instead of bringing Fran and Balthier. But hey,
yeah. Honestly, like it's probably at least like similar tier to those.
yeah, it is. I mean, mod wise, it is, and it's probably
Yeah,
better gear wise. Like if you're using a budget
yeah,
clear already, it means you don't have the gear. So gearing one unit is always preferable to two. So
yeah. I think it's more awkward, like buff and action wise, but easier gear wise.
right.
But yeah, it is an option that exists, and I
Good
think
to mention at least. It's a fun
that's all that.
interaction.
Mm,
And I mean, you can bring both Balthiers in a team. Like you can bring both old Balthier and new Balthier, and one
the
Fran
buff
is
is
going to buff
single
them both.
target. No, it's a single target buff. You don't
Wait,
want to do that.
no. Oh, I thought it was a AOE.
Nope.
Oh, that sucks a bit then. Oh, that was a shame.
And actually, that brings up one other point that might be worth if you want to use Balthier for trials and but potentially bring either both your own Balthier and a friend,
Right?
or if you're just wanting to bring a single Balthier but bursting more often, instead of making one Fran all the way up to like EX3 with all the shards, if you got the old copy of Fran from the previous FF12 event playing like a few years ago, then you can make two EX0 Frans
I
and
mean, do
like
you hear what
alternate
you're
their buff.
saying? You want to bring two Balthiers and two Frans into a trial? Like,
Yeah,
oh my god! But that is hilarious, though. That is actually hilarious.
I mean, it's not good, but it's funny.
It is funny. It is funny. Like, I mean, you just bring, a tank
Yeah,
and some type of elemental breaker, and technically
yeah,
you can do that. Yeah, that's
yeah.
actually
I mean,
hilarious.
it's very awkward to fit everything into a team with doing that, but I think it did actually see a tiny bit of use on JP.
Yeah, but jokes aside, I mean, it's definitely the best thing to do. Like, if you have old Fran, you definitely want to make two Frans that are NV because you don't want an
Like,
EX3 Fran. You don't want to waste the
it's
red pearl on her.
yeah, it's not a huge deal if you don't. She might not even cost a red pearl because she's a free unit, but yeah, like more EX levels don't really add anything to Fran, so you kind of might as well if you've got that option available.
For sure, for sure. Then you can do
Yeah,
like Balthier shenanigans. Bring two of your own
yeah.
Balthiers and two of your own Frans. Oh my god,
But yeah,
ridiculous.
if you don't have that option available or you just decided not to do that, it's not going to be a big deal though. It's not game changing or anything.
No, not at all. It's just funny. It's just funny. I wonder who's gonna do clears like that. I guess some of them are gonna pop up on YouTube
Yeah,
just
we
for the
might
fun
see
of it.
some.
Okay, so what else do we have this week? I guess we do have the new EX battle type stage. Have you done
Yeah.
that yet, Dream?
No, I have yet to boot up the game since maintenance. Actually, no,
Oh
I
wow.
did my I did my polls just before falling asleep, but
Okay, nice. At
maintenance
least
ends at like midnight for me. So,
so you started your sleep by being disappointed, and then you're
oh,
gonna play the game later.
I I got I got a decent quantity of envies from the 60 pull, so
Really? Okay.
can't be too bad. I got three, like none of them were super useful, but it's statistically above average,
Okay, but
so I
that's good.
can't be too mad at
Congratulations.
it.
My 60 pulls have been absolute ass lately. Like a previous one was 0 NBs.
Yeah.
The one before that was 1, and this one was also 1.
Mm.
Um,
I think mine's steadily gotten better. I think I went 1, 2, 2, 3,
wow, nice, nice.
so it's not terrible.
But I can't
Surprising
complain.
for me.
My we got a 10+1 NV ticket as well today, guaranteed NV ticket, and the NV out of that ticket was actually Ricard. So
Oh,
that was
nice.
really good for me.
That's one I would really like to get randomly. I think
Yeah, I
mine was
was
just
very
another
happy.
Noppy.
So I can't complain. I can't complain that I'm getting
No,
shit NVs because that was
that's
that
a really nice.
really helped me.
That's great.
Yeah, now I can
Love to
use
get them.
Sky.
Yeah, well, in DV at least you could already
Yeah,
do
for
those in
sure.
Clash.
I mean, I'm gonna look forward to doing that this DV actually.
But yeah,
Um,
that should be very effective.
but I don't know if there's much to say about this EX battle. So it's a two-wave battle with two enemies in each. So you're gonna kind of need to use AoE damage, and I think the turn limit is still 5
Yeah,
turns.
5 turns total across both waves.
Yeah, and then 4 units, I think,
Yeah,
for one
so
of the missions as well.
you don't have to do like I think it's 4 units for the mystery crystal, and 5 turns for the 3K lapis.
Yeah, but
So
if you're
yeah,
not doing all the missions at once, why are you living on this earth? Like you want to do everything at once. So my
Varus
big
elitist confirmed.
I'm really not. But I do want to plug Chizuru because she does
Yeah, I was
amazing.
just thinking she'd be very, very good at this because
Yeah,
she can do LBs on both waves and it's an AoE tag chain with a
yeah,
great mod.
works very very well. So all you need to do is just give her breaks and some element support, and that's it. And you can just
Yeah,
tear through it without any problems.
but yeah. But yeah, there'll be other options. I mean, like, I'm sure Esther probably works fine as well.
Yeah,
Just like
I mean
2 turns on each wave.
any AoE LB damager works great as long as they are not a SLP damage dealer
Yeah,
because SLBs are gonna have to wait for too long. But
yeah.
so
You
units
need to
like
be able to
Squall,
do
you're not gonna be
two
using.
bursts in 5 turns,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
locks out SLPs. But yeah, there's a few options. It's probably shouldn't be too hard like most of these.
Yeah. And we got DV as well. Not much to say though, because nothing is unlocked yet, only the easy
Mm.
stages. I am gonna say though, I'm guessing again you haven't played the game, right? But this
Nope.
DV was bulkier on the easy stages. Like I actually
Yeah,
had to gear units.
I've heard things are starting to ramp up a bit in terms of just general boss bulk.
Yeah, like I was actually starting to equip killers on my units. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, like none of us have before.
Mm.
Like we've all just been loading the same old team and just clearing,
Yeah,
capping
might have
the
to
fights.
set up a slightly newer OTK setup.
Yeah, yeah. Again, Chizuru, like, oh my god, she's so good.
Yeah, I was thinking that it's annoying that Roberta doesn't have quadcast on turn one because her 64 plus Chizuru's 30 would be 100 with those two units tag chained.
Yes, yes. But, my friend, if you have Kaido and Chizuru and Roberta, you're done. Like that's a fantastic OTK team.
Yeah, that's
Because
true because Kaido does the 88 breaks as well.
yeah, the only thing is you need to pre-break because Kaido's initial breaks are only 80. So you do need to
Would
bring someone to break for you. Um,
you not just tap him first? Because they apply immediately.
yeah, I guess, but yeah. Well, I guess you
Yeah.
would be missing just a couple of hits, like if you're doing it manually. So I'm not using any macros, but I guess as you said, like you tap him just a fraction of a second before Chizuru, and it's probably going to be
Well,
fine.
yeah. I mean, yeah, as long as put him in the higher party slot and then just tap down the list.
So if he's in a higher part, oh, this is a mechanic I actually did not know about. So are you telling me that even if you activate them on this at the same time, like if you're using the
Yeah,
magnification trick, which I am on Android?
if you macro slash magnify to activate multiple things on the same frame, they generally go in party order.
Okay, why generally though? That's a
I've
worrying.
I've n- it's because I've noticed a little bit of inconsistency when doing it myself, but it should be. I think that might actually just be caused by slight delays in the macro I used. I think if
Okay.
it's perfectly simultaneous, it should be party order.
Okay, nice, nice. That's good to know. Yeah, then you don't even need to pre-break. Then those three are a fantastic turn one team because
That's nice. Even though Kaito's mod kinda sucks, I'm sure Chizuru can carry that
yeah,
side of it.
Chizuru carries so fucking heavy. Like her back is broken from all the carrying she's doing. Because but I mean it works really well because again Kaido has the big breaks and he's chaining with Chizuru with 30
Yeah,
hits again, so adding some more chain count. So now
yeah.
instead of having like a
And
Zon and a Lena chaining triple AR, you can actually do damage. So it's nice.
yeah, and I mean, if you wanna, like, amp it up even more, you can have Esther and Sylvie in there, and Sylvie can use her Magnus to turn 1 and trust Esther.
Yeah, 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 for sure. So I don't have Esther, but Esther would definitely be a better choice. I'm definitely
Yeah.
using Sylvie though because I just want to use Sylvie's LB buff on turn one.
Oh,
To
yeah, her Sylvie's other general buff's also very good for it.
yeah,
You know, she can be your Earth and Lightning team support and whatnot as well, all on the same turn.
yeah. So it was a nice combo of like either Kaido or Esther doesn't really matter, and then Chizuru and Roberta was a really nice combo. I personally just put in Freyevia as well for flavor. But I guess like if you have Esther, then you just replace Freyevia with Esther, and holy shit, like you're gonna be capping easy.
Yeah, should be good. I guess I'll have to set that up later because my old OTK team that I've been using really is not very effective anymore.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. Same here. I was actually going in, and I was like, okay, but I'm not gonna load my old OTK team. I'm just gonna put Chizuru in because I have her. So I just built a quick team, capped like two stages, and then the third I didn't cap, and I'm like, wait, did I just, did I forget? Like, did I load the team and forgot to put on cards? Like, did I do something fundamentally wrong? Why am I not capping? Turns out they're bulky. They're actually bulky.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, it's like I have like for free to play right now, I have quite good units in terms of how the meta's sitting. Maybe I should try on a DV again and see how it goes. But
Yeah.
this is also kind of at the worst time because I'm on a 10-day holiday.
Ah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
will have some FFBE time still. Like,
DV is usually
in the
time
evening.
consuming due to building though, and that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I jumped out of try harding for DV because It's just like,
A lot
building
of
and then
tedium there.
retrying for variants just hits me. But what I do is I just manually build a team. I still have fun though. I still think it's great. And I mean, right now, like if you have Chizuru, if you have Sky, if you have Esther and Sylvie, you're set up to do some big damage for this DV. Of course, Balthier, Kane are all good units as well. Roos, I guess. Who else?
Nelica will be the big carry for the last fight in this one,
Oh yeah,
since it's
she's maybe well tuned for it, or
well, it is the like one single fight that has both of her racial mods, so
hmm,
she gets like I think it was like 580 mod or 560
nice,
against this
nice.
boss in particular, which
Okay,
is
so
very
she's
high.
definitely gonna be up there, I guess. I did not
The,
pull on
this,
that banner.
yeah, well, good because this is the one fight she is good for.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But
But
yeah,
yeah, she'll show up in top ranked teams.
okay. So I think that's it, right? I don't think we
Yeah, I
have anything
think
else.
we've stretched this out enough.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So listen, I want to tell you have a fantastic vacation,
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good. Quite
and
cold.
people are gonna miss you a lot because like next episode we all
Don't
know
be
is gonna be
silly.
absolute ass.
I'm sure Sinzar can come and fill in my role of actually knowing what they're talking about.
Oh, that's a good idea. I should actually ask Sinzar. Then I don't have to like read all up on the units. I can just come in as a
Yeah.
happy idiot and be enlightened.
I think next week is going to be like the new Vane NVA, and I don't remember if
Oh,
there was
so
a
it's
second
it's one
unit
of
alongside.
those
Yeah,
double
there's a
week
part. There's a
FF12.
part.
Okay.
There's a part two.
Right, right. But it's
I
funny
mean,
this thing where like since I haven't been in the podcast like the last 2 weeks, I was like, what the fuck are
yeah,
these
you've been
units
away
and
for
what
a
do they
while.
do? I have no idea.
You just you just do this so I can tell you what the units do. That's the
Exactly.
only
That's the
reason.
like I go through this entire process of editing and uploading and all shit just because I need somebody to tell me how these units work. Because without it, I'm just so lost. I'm like, oh my fucking god! I now have to read somebody's review. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, that was so annoying.
But yeah, I guess as a primer for next week, Van is Fire Emperor, but with defense and spirit break swapped, and then Vane was like an alright light finisher for an NVA.
Huh, okay. Don't remind me about Emperor. That dude will not leave me the fuck alone. After I pulled him on the banner, like I have EX2 100 out of 200 right now
Oh
from
gee.
just like random pulls.
I think I've gotten 2 random copies of him, but nothing that severe.
It's ridiculous. I mean, sure, it's gonna make it easier for that one fight where I'm gonna need the big wind and
Oh
barrel,
yeah.
but
Oh yeah, I mean, speaking of 10 race, hopefully we get Belphegor next week, because that should be due.
interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, Belph's probably the peak of 10 fight, 10 race trial design.
Right, right. That I'm looking forward to that. That makes
Yeah,
it then even more interesting to bring Senzar on that episode because he can probably tell us a bit about what it is and how to beat it.
basically use dark mages.
Oh, well, I like that because we have Oliveira, I have Renoa. I like the sound of that.
Okay, oh, Renoa is but Oliveira is good. Warrior's Prayer Dark Fiend is good. Superior Being Hadlar might be good because fire's its other weakness.
Oh, okay.
I
Um,
might
uh,
try him for the meme.
but I guess like Dark Rain, obviously, right?
Yeah, he's okay, but like SLB and needing a bunch of finisher support, bit awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Well, I'm
he was the best JP option, and it wasn't amazing.
right. Well, I'm definitely bringing Renoa anyway, and I'm bringing Oliveira. So I'm bringing both of them. Maybe even Roberta, because she's always a dark mage.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Roberta actually works quite well if you want to bring a physical team because she's got that like party dispel and then can immediately resupport fire.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be
All right.
another option if you want to use like Esther or just anyway. I'm eating next week's content because I'm not going to be there for it. But
Yeah. We're gonna miss you, but we're gonna see you in one Thursday from now, right? You're just skipping one episode.
yeah, I'm going to wait for 10 days. But I'm sure you'll live without me.
Well, I'm not gonna know anything about the fucking units, but hey, it's gonna be good. All right.
You'll
Thanks for
manage.
chilling, and see you all next week, I guess.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.